What up, YouTube? This is Daniel Rucker with True Table. Welcome to the table. Happy Labor Day to those who are celebrating. Know it's a whole holiday and people like to use this day to chill, barbecue, whichever. So, happy Labor Day. I wanted to tap in because it's Monday, getting the week started right. I wanted to jump in here and touch on just a perspective and a topic that I believe needs to continue to be echoed in just the universe as a whole. But before I get started, before I get in the kitchen and do what I do, I get cooking over here. You already know what I do. Go ahead and hit the like button. Go ahead and subscribe. I believe I'm 3 subscribers shy. 3 from 200 subscribers. Like I've stated before, I celebrate every subscriber I have. I appreciate you guys, and I do this for you. So, without further ado, I wanted to discuss the presence of men and how necessary we are. One of the things that I discovered today when I was actually driving, just running errands, I was listening to a content creator by the name of King Riches, British gentleman. Shout out to you, my brother, for doing what you're doing. But he had a broadcast where he was pretty much just discussing the necessity of men. He was particularly talking about black men and how we need to not be so passive, how we not need to be so afraid and timid and, you know, those type of things because of the greatness that lies in us. Well, I agree with his message. Me being wrapped in this particular body does not mean that I have, how would I put it? I just so happen to be a black man, but I first am a man prior to the categorizing of where I lie in the social structure that is our world. I try to always operate from a place of just being a person, a human first. The color of my skin and, you know, the origin of my people, that just is, like I said, the social conditioning of our world. But not to get off topic, what I wanted to discuss was why I believe one of the things he said is very important, and also to the point with a discussion I was having actually last week on the Lapeef Let Talk network. I believe it was a Tuesday. I'll put a link into the description on that particular segment, at least my segment of it, and then the video in its entirety. But anyway, Lapeef had King Talk on that day. And one of the things we were discussing as men was, do we as men address behavior that is erroneous, that is dramatic, that is out of place, especially in public places? I chimed in particularly with this part of it because, see, I believe that as men, that is one of our key functions as men. One of the things we do and why we cannot be diminished to just how much money we make and how much profit we bring in or how much resources we acquire is that the knowledge, the process, the outlook, the experience, the wisdom that a man can acquire in his lifetime is priceless. And a lot of times, because of fear, because of social ramification, because of some type of backlash, a lot of men go silent. One of the experiences I used to have when I was a short order cook so many years ago is I would be having these conversations with some of my customers, and they were men. And what I loved was that the exchange that we were having was such a pure, visceral, vibrant, organic exchange. It was something that we were just talking as men. And was it in the workplace? Yes. Was it some of the things we were discussing may have offended people? Sure. But what I found interesting was that since that time, and I was probably 22, 23 at the time, I've always still had the same energy, that I have never stood back on what I believed. I've never silenced myself for no one. I never will silence myself for no one. I operate in a place where the things that I'm speaking are always going to be cased and surrounded in love, meant to progress, meant to expand perspective. You getting offended in the process, that's for you to figure out on why you're offended. And so anyway, but me and men, we will be going back and forth just talking about life. And if we just so happen to land on the topic that was women, if a woman walked up, the men, which 9 times out of 10 were older than me, would always be like, you know, trying to silence the conversation. But I never understood that because I was talking to them. This particular person that walked up, I ain't talking to her, I'm talking to you. Now, I found that to be interesting because they would try to silence me, and I was the young cub at the time. You know, I'm supposed to be learning from you. You supposed to be the OG teaching me how to do things. But in fact, I was the one that stood the ground of my outlook, my perspective. And what I also found interesting is the times that some of the things we were discussing were overheard by women. The ones who were mature enough to be able to have the conversations would chime in, and we have a discussion. And perspective was shared, and there was connections that were made. And then the ones that weren't mature enough would get offended, get in their feelings, you know, say what they had to say, walk off. But it was never to a place of hostility to where blows were thrown or anybody was cursed out, anything like that. And see, that's what I live for. That's what I like to do. So one of the things I discussed when I was on the Lapeef Let Talk show briefly was that in real life, I carry around a standard as a man that if there's something that's in my vicinity that I believe is incorrect, I'm going to address it. Now, one of the things that seemed to be confusing from the panel was, so you're telling me that you walk around and you pretty much correct unruly people, women, men, whatever. And I explained to them that it depends on the situation. I mean, I don't go out every day with a cape on my back and say, like, let me correct the world. That's not what I was saying. But why I chimed in the first place was because the question was posed, do men speak on things that are disorderly in their vicinity? And by popular, agreement, most of the panelists were saying that men should not speak to people who they don't know. That they more should be keeping it to people that they have personally gotten to know, have a relationship with, and only address those things with people who are in their immediate social circle. And I disagree. I told them that you as a man are not gonna meet enough people and know enough people to only feel it necessary to convey what is truth, standard, excellence, and things of that nature only to your social circle. That to me is very problematic, very limited. And I believe that it's not going to help to progress the society that we are all looking to see in the future. As men, it is your job to have, like I said before, a code, an outlook, a perspective, something that is standing on standards and expansion. If you are standing on principle, if you're standing on something that is beneficial, then it is your job as a man to not only carry that out in your own life, but also hold others accountable that are in your vicinity, that are in your social circle, that are in your life, so on. And the problem that I have seen is that so many men are afraid. So many men are scared to stand on this very thing that we call manhood. See, there is an attack on masculinity. There's an attack on the male species, and it has been for quite some time. And some men are asleep at the wheel. We as men, our job is not just to work. Our job is not just to build. Our job is not just to provide. Our job is to teach, guide, and hold the line. That's a part of our job as well. Some of that requires you to actually use this thing that I'm using right now and open your mouth and speak to it. Because nothing will change as far as the disruption or the drama and the negative things that we see in our society. Those things will not change without some level of verbal attack, verbal pressure towards the issue. Now, what I am seeing is that now we have more of men that are rising up, myself and other content creators, who are speaking to these issues. But for those who don't feel that it's their gift to get on camera, that's fine. But you as men that are in the neighborhoods, that are in these environments, that are in these social circles, that are in these climates, you have to be able to identify, yourself, and also hold accountable irrational behavior, things that are contrary to progress and peace. One of the things I shared on the Lapeef Let Talk show in that brief moment I was on there was that there was a time, and I remember a time that in the neighborhood, because men were actually active in the neighborhood, it was a less likely of a chance that the police will be called when something arose, because men were present. And when they were present, they held the standard of what was going to happen in their household. They held the standard of what was going to happen in their front yard, their backyard, next door, and in front of their home. And if there was ever an issue with a neighbor or someone in the neighborhood, they usually would walk across the street or down the block or around the corner or whatever, and they'd have a conversation. Whether that issue was with the kids, whether that issue was with anything that was going on, men were securing their kingdom, their location, their domicile, because that's our right. And for men now to believe that just because we live in this Me Too movement, or we live in this society where they're trying to cancel you, that you need to be afraid to be a man, I'm sorry, I can't subscribe to that. Now more than ever, we need more men who are striving to be great, who are striving for excellence, who are striving for growth and progress, healthy relationships, healthy mindsets, healthy exchanges between man, woman, boy, girl, child, parent, as a collective, because there is chaos in these modern times. For you as a man to have the birthright to be born a leader, because you were just that, you were born a leader. And for you to take a back seat to your position, shame on you. If you as a man do not do what you were called to do, then you should not have any complaints about what is existing and going on in the world that you see right now. It is your job as a man to contribute to the positive growth and progression of mankind. That is what your birthright is. That's why you were born. And myself and others are going to hold you accountable to just that. Stop cowering to the pressure or the immediate disgruntled behavior from certain women or certain groups on what they believe you should say. Stop having them box you or put a muzzle to your mouth, especially if what you're saying is beneficial and meant to grow, progress, push society forward. I encourage you, brothers, to open up, stand up, and hold the fort. I support you. Several men out here support you as well. And you never can be wrong if you're standing on what's right. So that's what I wanted to talk about today. May sound a little preachy. Forgive me. From the standpoint that I'm definitely not trying to preach. What I do stand for and what I say, even on my channel with my hashtag and my Instagram and my TikTok and all that, is I say men first and my hashtag. And I really believe that I stand for that, because I understand that in order for things to really go and move forward and to improve, without men present, it will never grow. It will never be better. It will never change. You name me one organization that is great. You name me one company. You name me one team. You name me one agenda that is progressing and dominant, and there isn't men at the center of it or behind the concept and the structure and the growth. Name me one. I'll wait. So anyway, that's what I want to talk about today. You guys are awesome. You're great. Thank you for supporting the channel. Thank you for hanging out with me today. If you have not already done so, go ahead and hit the like button. Go ahead and subscribe. I so appreciate it. And I'm going to continue to come with this content. See you guys soon. Thank you.